Marcus Thompson had been a widower for 3 years. At 34, the successful architect had poured all his energy into raising his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, and building his career. Dating felt like a distant memory, something from another lifetime when his wife Sarah was still alive. His colleagues at Sterling and Associates noticed his loneliness, even when Marcus tried to hide it behind professional smiles and weekend stories about father-daughter adventures. What he didn't know was that 2 of them, Brad and Jennifer, had orchestrated what they considered entertainment for the upcoming Friday night. "Come on, Marcus," Brad had said during lunch break, slapping him on the back. "You need to get back out there. We set you up with someone perfect." Marcus hesitated. The word perfect, coming from Brad, seemed suspicious. Brad was known for his cruel sense of humor, the kind of person who laughed at others' expense. But Jennifer nodded encouragingly, and Marcus thought perhaps he was being too cynical. "Just one dinner," Jennifer urged. "At Luminescence downtown, 7 o'clock Friday. Her name is Rachel." What Marcus didn't hear was the conversation that followed after he left the break room. Brad and Jennifer had exploded into laughter, high-fiving each other. "Did you see his face?" Brad wheezed. "Wait until he sees Rachel Martinez. This is going to be hilarious." They had specifically chosen Rachel, a kind-hearted accountant from another firm, because of her weight. They had seen her photo on a dating app and thought it would be comedy gold to set up the handsome, well-dressed Marcus with someone they deemed unworthy of him. They planned to show up at the restaurant to witness and film the awkwardness. Friday evening arrived with autumn rain painting the city streets in reflections of neon and streetlights. Marcus wore his best charcoal suit, a silk tie that Sarah had bought him years ago, and carried an umbrella. He'd told Lily about the date, and her innocent excitement had made him nervous but hopeful. Rachel Martinez arrived at Luminescence 5 minutes early, her heart pounding. The elegant restaurant with its crystal chandeliers and candle-lit tables made her feel simultaneously excited and terrified. She wore a beautiful emerald dress that complemented her warm brown skin and had spent hours on her makeup and hair. At 29, Rachel had been on enough disappointing dates to know that many men judged her immediately because of her size. She'd almost canceled 3 times that day. But something in Jennifer's description of Marcus, a widowed single father, kind, thoughtful, had given her a flutter of hope. Maybe this time would be different. Marcus spotted her immediately as he entered. Rachel sat at the reserved corner table, backlit by the soft golden glow of the restaurant's ambient lighting, nervously smoothing her dress. For a moment, he saw not her body, but the vulnerability in her eyes, the careful way she held herself, as if bracing for disappointment. And in that instant, he understood. This was Brad's joke. The realization hit him like ice water. He glanced around and spotted Brad and Jennifer partially hidden near the bar, Brad already holding up his phone to record. The cruelty of it took his breath away. They had used both him and this woman as props in their entertainment. Marcus felt anger rise in his chest, but more than that, he felt protective. This woman, sitting alone, who had gotten dressed up and been brave enough to show up, deserved better than to be the punchline of someone's cruel joke. He squared his shoulders and walked directly to the table. Rachel looked up, and he saw her expression shift, first surprise at his appearance, then the defensive guard going up in her eyes, the armor he recognized from his own grief. She expected rejection. She expected him to leave. Instead, Marcus smiled warmly and extended his hand. "Rachel." Marcus. "I'm so sorry I'm late." The rain made traffic impossible. He wasn't late, but he wanted to give her something, an apology. A gesture of respect. Anything to counteract what he knew was about to be a difficult moment. Rachel took his hand, surprise flickering across her face. You're not late." "I was early." Marcus sat down, deliberately turning his chair so his back was to Brad and Jennifer. He wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing any reaction. The waiter appeared, and Marcus ordered a bottle of the restaurant's finest wine without looking at the price. "I hope you like red," he said to Rachel, then added quietly, I need to tell you something, and I hope you'll stay to hear it." Rachel's expression became guarded. "Let me guess. You're married? You have 6 kids? You're not actually Marcus." "No," he said gently. "I am Marcus, single father, 1 daughter, widowed 3 years ago. And I think we've both been set up as part of someone's idea of a joke." He watched her face carefully as understanding dawned. The hurt that flashed across her features made his chest tighten. "Because of how I look," she said flatly. It wasn't a question. "Because some people are cruel and small," Marcus corrected. "But here's what I want you to know, Rachel. I'm furious that anyone thought they could use either of us this way. And I hope you will let me prove to you that not everyone in this world is like that." Rachel was quiet for a long moment. The waiter poured their wine, and the candlelight caught the tears she was fighting back. "You could leave," she said finally. "You don't owe me anything." Marcus leaned forward. "I could, but I'd miss out on what I suspect is going to be a wonderful evening. Besides, my daughter Lily made me promise to be a gentleman, and she's 7 and terrifying when I break promises." A small smile cracked through Rachel's defensive expression. "Tell me about Lily," she said. What followed was magic. As they talked, the restaurant seemed to fade away. Marcus told Rachel about Lily's obsession with dinosaurs, about how he'd learned to braid hair from YouTube videos, about the way grief had taught him what truly mattered. Rachel shared her love of baking, her dreams of opening a small cafe, her close relationship with her grandmother who had raised her. They discovered they both loved old jazz music, terrible puns, and had read the same obscure science fiction novel in college. They laughed until tears ran down their faces. They shared the chocolate lava cake, and when Rachel closed her eyes in appreciation at the first bite, Marcus thought she was absolutely radiant. Somewhere behind them, Brad and Jennifer had stopped filming, their joke having completely backfired. The joke was on them. What they were witnessing was genuine connection, the kind that couldn't be manufactured or mocked. As the evening drew to a close, Marcus walked Rachel to her car under his umbrella. The rain had softened to a mist that haloed the streetlights. "I need to say something," Marcus said, stopping on the sidewalk. "What happened tonight being set up as a joke that was cruel and wrong. But the actual evening, getting to know you, that was one of the best nights I've had in years. And it has nothing to do with proving anything to anyone. It's because you're funny, intelligent, kind, and you understand pain in a way that people who haven't experienced it can't." Rachel looked up at him, raindrops catching in her hair like tiny diamonds. "You're not what I expected," she admitted. "Neither are you," Marcus said. "You're better." He asked for her number. She gave it to him, but with caution still in her voice. "Marcus, I need you to be honest. Is this pity or guilt? 'Cause I don't need saving." "It's neither," he said firmly. "It's hope. It's the first time in 3 years I felt excited about the possibility of tomorrow. It's the realization that sometimes the universe disguises its gifts in the worst packaging. Someone tried to make us both feel small tonight, but instead, I feel like I just met someone extraordinary." Monday morning, Marcus walked into the office with purpose. He went directly to HR and filed a formal complaint against Brad and Jennifer for harassment. He provided testimony about their setup, their filming, their intention to humiliate. Both faced disciplinary action, mandatory training, and the respect they thought they had evaporated overnight. But Marcus barely noticed. He was too busy planning a second date with Rachel, this time with Lily included. They went to the Natural History Museum. And watching Rachel patiently explain dinosaur evolution to his daughter while Lily held both their hands, Marcus felt something he thought he'd lost forever. He felt like he was home. 3 months later, Rachel taught Lily how to make croissants in Marcus's kitchen while he watched from the doorway, his heart full. 6 months after that, he helped Rachel develop the business plan for her cafe. A year later, he proposed in that same corner table at Luminescence, the scene of their first date. "You turned the worst intentions into the best thing that ever happened to me," he told her as he knelt with the ring. Rachel pulled him to his feet, tears streaming down her face. "We did that together," she corrected. "You saw me when someone tried to make you blind." Their story became legendary in their circle, not because it was a fairy tale, but because it was real. Because Marcus chose kindness when cruelty was expected. Because Rachel chose to stay when leaving would have been easier. Because they both understood that true beauty has nothing to do with appearances and everything to do with how you make others feel. On their wedding day, Marcus's vows included these words: "Someone once thought they could diminish us both by putting us together as a joke. But the joke was on them, because what they accidentally created was perfect. You are perfect. Not despite anything, but because of everything you are." The wedding guests wept. Lily, now the flower girl, beamed with pride. And in the back of the room, several of Marcus's colleagues who had once laughed at Brad's jokes sat quietly, learning a lesson they should have known all along. Kindness is not weakness. Beauty is not one size fits all. And love is the ultimate act of rebellion against a world that tries to tell us who is worthy and who is not. Rachel and Marcus proved that when cruelty tries to write your story, you have the power to pick up the pen and write a better ending.